McDonald's is adding its 2 cents to the tipping debate, and the internet is kinda McShocked. The CEO of McDonald's, Chris Kempczinski, recently told CNBC that restaurants that rely on tips to pay their employees are essentially getting customers to pay labor costs. Now, this comment came during a deeper conversation with the fast food exec over Trump's Big Beautiful Bill and how it would affect the restaurant, specifically the promise of no tax on tips.
No tax on tips.
He said, quote, "If you're not taxing tips, you're giving one part of the industry an edge." Translation: restaurants that accept tips are going to cruise downhill, while those that don't will end up pedaling harder just to keep up. Now critics are saying McDonald's CEO is primarily concerned with protecting his bottom line, suggesting that his stance against tipped wages is more about competition than fairness. However, supporters, including labor activists, agree with him that the system is flawed and tipping lets some restaurants underpay workers and shift the cost to customers. So while this interview isn't exactly a rally the masses kind of speech, it does raise the question: how do we make pay and taxes fair without turning every restaurant into a math problem? For now, McDonald's isn't asking for tips, it's asking for lawmakers to even the playing field. So will this lead to new laws or just a bunch of spicy opinion pieces?
I didn't tip the cashier at McDonald's. She gave me a medium instead of a large. Asked for a large, and she did this right here. No fucking way.
McDonald's CEO is on social media again saying that it's not fair that no tax on tips puts his restaurant at a disadvantage because they don't pass on cost to customers like regular restaurants do that have customers tip. Sir, this is the second or third time you've been on social media in a week complaining about the economy that you have completely taken advantage of for the last 5 years ever since the pandemic. Your guys' prices have more than tripled in the last 5 years. I know because I worked at McDonald's when I was a kid, when I was young and I still had hair and it was all black. And the food quality has continued to slip at McDonald's, so you're trying to get even more money for less food quality. In addition to that, you've taken people's jobs away by having the automated order takers up front. Add that to the fact that there's no discernible customer service at McDonald's whatsoever that's anything like what you'll experience at a Chick-fil-A, which is also franchised, or an In-N-Out, which is not. And the excuses coming out of CEOs that are making now 2% profit in a quarter for giant conglomerations versus 4% that they're used to, or 5%, are falling completely on deaf ears. Social media is not your company's amplifier to be able to talk about the market and all of your complaints. You guys have put yourself in a position where regular consumers, McDonald's was a low-cost, low-value product. I worked there for 3 years, I know. And then you guys, as a low-cost, low-value product, tripled the price of the product, and then are now complaining that families cannot afford your food anymore, and you're blaming no tax on tips, you're blaming inflation, you're blaming everything else. No, you guys just tripled the prices for a cheap product that you shouldn't have, and now you're feeling the repercussions, and you'll continue to feel the repercussions. And by the way, there's completely fixable things that you guys can do. Bring back a reasonable dollar menu again. Go back and fix the customer service at all your franchises and make it a condition of franchising, just like Chick-fil-A does. There's absolutely no reason that this company can't make a turnaround. It's the biggest fast food company in the world, and the fact that they still make these kind of social mistakes is ridiculous. And to go out on social media and think people are going to agree with you and feel bad for you because you guys are making a few less $1 billion this quarter because you've tripled the prices on everyone, and families can't stop there after a baseball or a soccer game on the way home anymore, which was the purpose generally of your restaurant, or the guy or gal on her way to work that needed a quick coffee because they ran out of Keurig pods at home. You guys have lost your place in the market because of your own actions. Let me know what you think.
Did y'all know that McDonald's employees are not allowed to accept tips? Read the reason. Tips are not accepted as McDonald's restaurants have a team environment which is not about rewarding individuals. What skin off McDonald's nose is it if somebody wants to tip one of their employees? Unless McDonald's just wants to keep their employees in poverty, so they're forever chasing the carrot of financial freedom, but they'll never quite get it. And McDonald's will still have cheap labor. Anybody from McDonald's corporate want to tell me why that is?
$100, and the McDonald's workers were quoted saying they didn't even leave a tip.
Is somebody going to tell them,
It's McDonald's. You don't tip at McDonald's. What is it with all these restaurants, like sandwich shops and fast food places and coffee places, like asking you to leave them a tip? Like, no, you should only be tipping at like full service restaurants, like where a server is getting you new drinks and is getting you food and putting in more orders if you have any more orders and addressing any concerns you have and making sure everything's stocked. Like, I'm talking about real restaurants where you go and sit down and you bring your whole family and you have decent food. Like, McDonald's is not a place where you're supposed to tip. So, like, why is there so much outrage over Trump not tipping at McDonald's? Like, what's the whole deal with that? If you want a real tip, go to a place where you're supposed to get tipped at. Like, go be a server, not a fast food worker.
The McDonald's employee who tipped off authorities about suspected CEO assassin Luigi Mangione might not be receiving the $60,000 reward after all. The reward is contingent on Mangione being both arrested and convicted, meaning the employee could face a long wait before any payout is considered. Critics of the reward system argue that it is overly complicated. The FBI and the NYPD require several layers of approval, including input from interagency committee, the Secretary of State, and the Attorney General. Even then, the reward is still not guaranteed. Additionally, the NYPD's reward program operates separately and reportedly requires tipsters to follow specific procedures, including obtaining a reference number for eligibility. Sources suggest that the McDonald's employee may not have adhered to this specific process, further complicating their claim to the reward. As it stands, while Mangione may face a lifetime in prison, the employee may walk away with little more than recognition as a class traitor of the year for their role in the arrest. This just goes to show you that bootlicking or simping for CEOs usually never benefits the working class.
But McDonald's, their CEO said that they're starting to see pushback on some of their prices.
McDonald's is starting to forget their role here. Come here. McDonald's was a place that you go to when you had $3 in your bank account and you don't get paid till next week and you just want a meal with some kind of substance. McDonald's was there to save the day, right? This was already said before, but McDonald's thinks that we were eating their food because it was just that delicious. No, we were eating there because it was cheap. It was affordable, right? It was delicious for the price that it was at, right? Does that make sense? The fact that now McDonald's is raising their prices so high, parents used to ask their kids if they had McDonald's money. Parents are starting to not have McDonald's money. Does that make sense, right? McDonald's took away the snack wrap. They took away all day breakfast. They took away the dollar menu, right? The difference between McDonald's and Chick-fil-A is only $1.50. If any fast food place had any kind of brains, they would lower their prices right under McDonald's because people who are struggling still need a burger. Does that make sense?
When did society make it acceptable for fast food restaurants to ask for a tip at the cash register? You're not even bringing the food to my table. You're not even serving me anything. Like, you're just asking for extra money on the item that I ordered. Who does that go to, bro? The worker who just punched some shit on the screen? The guy making the food in the back? Or is it just split amongst everybody? Bro, it's not my job to pay your workers. If you're not paying your workers enough, that's your problem and your workers can take it up with you. Stop asking me for a tip everywhere I go.
You see that? $158 bill. 2. As in 1, 2, end of story. I walked them through every wine flight, plated their tomahawk at the table, folded 4 napkins when they dropped.
$2 on a $158 tip at a steakhouse with wine. Ouch. $158. 1% is $1.58, meaning she got somewhere close to about 1.5%.
My rule is if I stand up to order my food and I have to get it, there's probably not a very big tip in it for you. If you bring me my food, you take my order, absolutely going to give you a tip. If I'm driving through, there's no tip. You're doing your job. I came here to order a thing from you. You came here to sell a thing to me. That's great. That's the whole transaction. There is no extra transaction required. If somebody's doing service for you, you get a haircut, come clean out, that's all fine. Tip all those people.
I will tip
your service providers where that's the norm. But the idea that I go buy a product and you hand me the product from the shelf across the counter and then I'm supposed to give you a tip, that's insane to me. I have the same opinion everybody else has on tip culture. It's out of control.
I am literally checking myself out for my chicken at this machine, and it's asking me if I'd like to tip.
Don't just punch in 15 or 18% because my check came out to 60 and they're saying 18% is almost $30 out of 60. That's a 50% tip. So they're trying to trick us. Look, if you hit 20, it makes it 33. 18, 29. That's not right. So it's actually $12. 18, I think 20% is actually $12. Don't get bamboozled. Don't just start clicking stuff.
for me, motherfucker. Come on, hurry up. I called the pickup control. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. One more.
This is not large. This is large. You see? Take the glasses off. It's not large. No, tagliato, sì, questo amico. Avvenire. Hasta كابينيش هتحرقني. مين hasta كابينيش هتحرقني. مين ومش فيرا. He's telling this not the truth. This I made it now. I eat there because I hate people that say no to me. This said the thing.
I'm not sure what the fuck just happened, but I went into a sandwich shop and I went up to the window, ordered the sandwich I wanted, which was a pre-built menu. It wasn't like I went down the line and you built the sandwich for me in front of me. I ordered and I got a drink and I went to pay for it, which I picked up at a different window. And I went to go pay and I pressed no on a tip and the transaction went through and she said, "You didn't tip me." I said, "I know. I know." And I was very kind, very polite. Right? She said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, I ordered a sandwich and I'm getting it to go. There was, I didn't feel like there was a tip needed." She goes, "Well, everybody tips us." And she goes, "We're making your sandwich for you." And I said, "Isn't that what your hourly wage is for?" And I guess I was like dumbfounded just a little bit. And I still feel like I'm in shock and speechless just a little bit. But I am all for tips where it's deserved. Bartenders, servers, waitresses, your hairstylist sometimes, and however that works and you're part of if it's built or you go to whatever. I am all for leaving a tip when it's a service job that you have given me a service for and an appropriate tip. But all I did was walk to the window, order, and take it with me. Why should I have been felt guilty to not have left a tip on an $8 sandwich that was on your menu? I don't know. I got to get over that one before I drive away.
I work in the service industry, and I can't believe you don't tip 25% for to-go orders.
You don't work in the service industry if you work in fast food. Let me help you with this. You work in a fast food place. That's not the service industry. The service industry is where you provide service, not where you hand food over the counter that someone else cooked.
Now we're tipping for shit, whatever. It's funny, a tip position, it's happening at fast food. We do it at our places. I am completely shocked at how much people are tipping for nothing, right? I just took their order on a cashier situation. They got to come pick up their food. They got to bust their own table. And they still leave 10, 15, 20%. It is crazy.
A group of Australians out here in Los Angeles, and we've been here for about a week in the United States. I've seen articles of the locals getting annoyed at Australians and other tourists for not tipping because it's not normal to tip in their own country. And to be honest, when I first got here, I wasn't tipping anyone. I was like, stuff that. Oh, it's already expensive. Why am I going to tip someone? They're already getting paid by their boss. But then now, a week in, I realised, you know what? It's actually a better system. In Australia, we just, as an employer, you pay your employee just for rocking up to work. Regardless of whether they do a good job or not, they get paid. But here you get rewarded for a better job. And you know what I realised? The service here is 10 times better than in Australia. And so I'm not even tipping 10, 15, 18% anymore, like the recommended, or 20%. I'm tipping 100%.
Tipping culture has gotten so wildly out of hand that I struggle to put it into words. And I'll tell you why I feel this way. So I went to a restaurant who will remain nameless because I'm a big fan of the restaurant. The staff there is always amazing. I've never had an issue with this restaurant, whether that be shitty food or shitty service. I've always had good experience at this restaurant. Okay? So I walk into this restaurant and they have a brand new self-serve kiosk. I mean, you can walk right up and you can order whatever the fuck you want to order. And you can probably imagine where this is going. So I get in there and I order my food. I pick out what I want. I get the drink that I want. And then I, click credit card and be paying with that. And it asks me, do I want to leave a 20, a 25, or a 30% tip for the self-serve fucking kiosk? Okay? So obviously I click no tip. And mind you, this might sound a little dramatic, but I want to give you the whole picture. It's also self-serving drink station. It's also, when you get done eating, you're supposed to take your dishes to the trash can, wipe out the dishes as best you can, and stack the dishes, which I always do if that's the case in the restaurant. The only interaction I had with a human being throughout this whole process is the person that brought the food. And they walked out of the kitchen, they set my food down, they said, here you go, I said, thank you, and they walked back in the kitchen. Because again, they don't got to check my drink because it's a self-serve drink station, it's a self-serve kiosk, and you're supposed to put your own dishes up. So tell me if I'm the one being dramatic when I think it's absolutely insane for a kiosk, a robot, a computer to ask me to tip it 20, 25, or 30%.
Yo, if you don't have money to tip, don't buy the fucking food, bro. You literally went to the tip section and pressed 0. The fuck? I'ma piss in your food, bro.
Shut the freak up! I really hate tip culture. I really do. It's the fact of people like this. I mean, he's getting mad that somebody didn't tip him for a DoorDash, and he's already saying, oh, piss in your food, so on and so forth. Like, what are we talking about? You're telling me the only reason you're gonna treat someone nice is because of a tip? That, first off, is wild. And second off, it shouldn't be someone's responsibility to make sure you get paid. It should be the government's responsibility. The fact that minimum wage for waitresses and waiters are like freaking $2, $5 is sickening and should be wrong. It should be illegal. Because if you go to any other country, they don't accept tip. There's no such thing as tipping in other countries. They don't do that thing. Like it is only an American westernized thing. It's because our government isn't doing their job. I mean, minimum wage is terrible. And the fact that waitresses and waiters get treated terribly and sometimes don't get tips is terrible. And that sucks. But y'all can't be blaming people who aren't tipping because y'all realize tips are just, they're not obligations, they're not mandatory. If someone had a bad service or they just didn't enjoy the food or the food was too expensive, why would they pay an extra $10, $20 for a tip? They wouldn't do that. And they shouldn't have to. The government should be paying everyone pretty well for a job that takes a lot of skill and patience, like being a waiter/waitress. But besides that, what do y'all think?
Fuck tipping, and I specifically am talking about the places that have the iPads that ask you, how much you want to tip? 15, 20, 25%? And they're literally just making you like a singular drink. I went to this poke place the other day. The food is really good. And I go up to the counter and I tell them I want salmon, tuna, and white rice. And they scoop it all for me in this box. They ring me up at the register and they turn around the iPad asking me how much I want to tip. I'm like, yo, all you did was scoop my food. You didn't do anything else for me. If it's a sit-down restaurant, you should 100% be tipping. You should be tipping at least 15%. I usually do 20. They're actually serving you food, refilling your water, and asking if everything's going well. But if it's a fast place where all they're doing is just scooping your food into a box and giving it to you, or they're making you like a singular drink, like at Starbucks, for example, then no, they shouldn't be expecting $5 more for them doing the bare minimum, which is their job. And you can call me fucked all you want, but I know a lot of other people agree with me. And the worst part is that every time they turn on the iPad, they stare you down and make you feel the pressure. Like, it's so fucked.
Tipping culture is getting out of hand. Ever since Trump did the no more tax on tips, everywhere in my face, people are shaking a cup talking about tips. How did no one notice? But the calculator app has a tip option in there. You press tip and it gives you a pre-made percent. This is getting ridiculous. For the first time in my life, I went through a drive-thru and she said, one more question. Would you like to leave a tip? And started naming off the percentages. I'm like, are we serious? I said no, and she said, really? And I was like, what the fuck you mean, really? About 3 minutes later, she brings out my smoothie, and now I don't even want to drink it. I haven't touched it. Because now I have to think about someone else's opinion of me before I eat my food. If you say no tip before you get your food, the chances of someone pissing in your drink goes up at least 8%. And me personally, I'm not okay with that. My friend went through a self-serving car wash, and it said tip. Who are we tipping? The water company? This is crazy. So yeah, now we're at 7-Eleven.
I didn't even think about that, you guys. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if they find out that you decide not to tip before giving you your food, what if they did something to your food? I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. That's horrifying. And I didn't know that there was a tip calculator on your calculator. How long has that been there? I didn't know that such a thing exists. That is wild.
Because I don't feel safe with this drink because she got pissed. To be fair, she had green hair and face tats, so I probably wasn't going to trust the drink anyway.
He said it. I didn't say it.
I also have an issue with I guess, people guilt tripping you, like when you go pick up a coffee or a pizza or whatever you order at anywhere, and it's like, you want a tip? Like, for example, today when we got ice cream, I paid and then it was like, oh, I want to add a tip. And I was like, she was staring at me in the
I did pick up an order one time. And then after I left, they texted me like, seriously, no tip? I'm like, I picked up, called in, I came and got it, and I went home.
Like, you literally took the food, put it in a bag, maybe put a few napkins. That's it.
I don't agree with the American tipping culture. I think it's not my responsibility as a customer that the people working there get paid a fair amount of money, a fair wage. that should be the responsibility of the people running the places, like the restaurant owner. So why is it my responsibility to make sure that the waiter who serves me gets paid a fair amount of wage for his work? And then also what I don't understand about the tipping culture is, like, when it has to be 20%, why does it differ if I'm ordering a more expensive meal? So when I'm ordering a $100 meal, then 20% of that would be $20, comparing to when I'm ordering a $20 meal, then 20% of that would be $4. So why should I need to pay so much more money in tip just because I order with a more expensive meal, but the work for the waiter doesn't change? So why suddenly am I required to pay so much more? That also doesn't make sense to me. To summarize again, I did tip in the US because also you guys explained me in the comment section, do as the locals do, but to be honest, I don't really agree with that.